Hello, hello.
This panel is going to be more like a familiar chit-chat between friends than a normal, super technical situation where everybody check the phone. My name is Igor. I am the CTO of the Data Network. We are a data layer for B2B and AI agents. I'm also the CEO of AIFlow. We are an AI service company. We cover basically every need that a company has to enter the AI game. So, first of all, I would like all of you to introduce yourself with calm. We have time, okay? Speak about your project. Tell us more what you do, and then after we're gonna go in the questions. Let's gonna keep it spicy today, huh?
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
So, Lamina, what is Lamina? Tell us.
Yeah, so I'm Will Carter. I'm the CTO of Lamina One. Lamina One's a new platform for the creator economy. So when we look at the current state of content creation and distribution, we see a lot of creators building on what we call rented land. They don't have sovereignty over the infrastructure on which they're distributing and distributing their content and monetizing. And they also don't have sovereignty and ownership over their community, which in many cases is their business. And so what Lamina One is doing is not only giving them that sovereignty and a distribution platform for their content, but it's also facilitating new ways to engage with your favorite creators and your favorite IPs. So, yeah, that's basically what we're building. Some of it does tie into AI, obviously, because with AI, we can do a lot of very exciting new engagement processes. So connecting fans with their favorite creators, remixing content, custom questing, new monetization models. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
We need to right just a little bit. We're trying to get us all on the camera.
We have to regroup, guys. Okay, so Niar,
Are we good?
Tell us. We know everything about Niar. Niar is the first AI blockchain, no?
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I mean, there's probably a few projects that could lay claim to being kind of the blockchain for AI today, but Near is kind of the OG blockchain for AI. So Near was founded actually by two AI pioneers. A lot of folks aren't aware of this. They kind of know Near as a layer one blockchain ecosystem, smart contract platform with really cool features and products like sharding, so like really, really great scalability. Other Near products like Near Intents, Near Chain Signatures, et cetera. We have a lot of kind of exciting offerings on the blockchain crypto side. But right, as I was saying, Near was founded by two AI pioneers in 2017, 2018. And there's now a word for what they were trying to do. They were trying to do vibe coding back then. They were trying to build tools to automate software development, but they were about 6 years too early.
We did not have Cloudflare back then, no?
Exactly, yeah. And then they pivoted in the direction of blockchain because they needed faster, smoother, cheaper cryptocurrency payments, actually, to compensate people around the world for contributing to the AI tools they were building. And they said, oh, it'll take 6 months. We'll pivot back to the AI stuff, and 6 months turned into 6 years. So here we are. So yeah, Near's doing all the things I just described. It's a very, very kind of active ecosystem. I'm head of research, so I'm looking at things at the intersection of AI, blockchain, crypto economics, and governance, and I'm very, very focused on governance right now.
What was the paper again? It was intelligence is all you need, or
attention is all you need, right? So that came out of Google Research in 2018. Ilya, our co-founder, was one of the co-authors on that paper. Yeah.
It's funny, yeah. Such a long time ago, but
I mean, in crypto years, it's a long time.
That's crazy. Should I go?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. So hey everyone, I'm Dylan. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Common. We're an all-in-one community platform, so you can launch tokens, use that token to reward kind of community behavior, have threaded discussions, and as threads go, it can be a grant request, it could be discussions around a spec, it could be a governance proposal, and so the intelligence / like model-based integration for us as well. It's not just using decentralization to help get stuff done, but agents as well. So every thread itself can be turned into something that agents can directly act on. And so, yeah, super excited again to talk about the intersection of AI, crypto economics, governance, and more.
If you see Dylan and me looking at each other funny, it's because we did this like 3 weeks ago somewhere else. But it's good to see you again.
Deja vu for sure. We're happy to support over 80,000 communities now as of yesterday, I guess. Yeah. So.
Nice. Aaron, me and you also, we worked together in Eliza time ago. So it's a panel of friends, very nice. Tell us about Flipside.
Yeah, so I am an AI software engineer working at Flipside Crypto, and we are building an agentic blockchain intelligence platform. So we're working on multi-agent infrastructure, almost swarms of agents at your service to democratize the access to blockchain information. So you don't need to be a highly technical SQL analyst. You can just query with natural language and learn anything you want to learn about blockchain, whether it's tracking whale wallets on Solana, or you're trying to learn about the intents on Near and maybe verify their solver networks and how many transactions are flowing through. So any kind of question you can think of, our AI system is geared towards answering that. And I think it's really limited by your own curiosity at that point. So I'm excited to chat with all you guys.
Nice. So let's dive. Okay, we have some questions that we prepared, but I think we should go a little bit more with the flow, if you agree, guys. Okay, in the Web 2 and Web 3, a little bit different on the speed of the development. Okay, so in Web 2, every day I woke up and I have to study 3 new papers and 4 new LLMs. In Web 3, I have a little bit more of delay on this stuff. So what you think is the problem, okay, that somehow stop us to be this performance, have the same performance of Web 2, okay? Of course, we have the blockchain, of course, we have our way to do things, okay? That is our way to do things, but what's the way that your company have to solve this? How you solve this problem? Because in the day-by-day use, I see a lot of team of Web3 that actually do this. They constantly release stuff, and others not really, and in the same space in general. So I would like to know more about your project, more about how you solve this day-by-day use and this way to actually use AI also to be more performant. Start with Lamia.
Are we going in order? Okay. So I actually think that Web3 moving slightly slower and behind the velocity of Web 2 when it comes to the adoption of AI.
2 years behind.
Sorry, that?
2 years behind.
Yeah.
I did a calculation 2 weeks ago with a friend, and in Web 2 we are talking about robots and spatial recognition. So literally we are Star Trek time, okay? And in Web 3 we are way forward, but we are still at the trading agent, the automation, normal automation, okay? That is really cool, but still far from there.
I think that's actually a feature at the moment rather than maybe I'll be on my own on this opinion, but I think it needs to move slower in our space. Web 2 is different, right? When things are done autonomously.
No security.
The security is different. Finality is very different. You can always reverse something for the most part if you get an unwelcome outcome. Web 3, by definition, it's final, right? And so I think before we build a lot of autonomous intelligence systems into all of our Web 3 infrastructure, we need to make sure that the correct guardrails are in place, that we aren't sort of exacerbating a problem and sort of actually going backwards in this notion of decentralization by trusting opaque black box LLMs with our decision-making ability. I do think we need to solve a couple problems in a unique way that Web 2 frankly doesn't need to worry about. And those problems are quite difficult to solve. And so, yeah, I think I'll hand it off just in terms of time, but I think it's a feature, actually.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think that's a really valid point. I like to talk about how the human systems in Web3 really closely resemble the technical systems, right? And what I mean by that is when you're building an application, you can always use a centralized database, you can use an Oracle, whatever, and you'll get massive throughput, really cheap transactions, all these kinds of things, but you're doing it in a centralized way, obviously. Or you can choose to use a blockchain, which is going to be slow, it's going to be expensive, but you're going to get the sort of features you talked about, like the immutability. Well, guess what? We also move slow at the social layer, which I'd say is also a feature. Why? Because we're trying to lean into decentralization and do things in a decentralized fashion, right? That's certainly what we talk about when we talk about crypto governance, right? We want there to be more seats at the table, more stakeholders, make sure kind of, the voices of kind of different groups of constituents are all being heard and considered. So I think that this slower governance process and product as well, because product to some extent is downstream of governance, right? Produces better outcomes, but it's a slower, more expensive process. So I think that that's super normal. So in addition to the security factor, which you talked about, we have a lot at stake. Things are immutable, right? So we have to kind of really take our time and be careful with our upgrades. There's also the social factor. And then just to bring it back to AI for a second, one of the things that we're doing at Near and at House of Stake, which is the governance project I'm working on, is really leaning heavily into AI agents to kind of address some of the shortcomings of crypto governance. And I think that the slow pace is one of them, right? So I think there's categories of decisions that we can outsource to AI agents and have them accelerate the pace. I mean, there's a lot more to say. We can unpack it, but I'll leave it at that for now.
I would also piggyback off that. And I mean, honestly, I think maybe the 2 points that I would say are, one, the innovations that do come in crypto are often not as visible to the user. Okay, right? And what do I mean by that? So like ChatGPT 3 to 4, you're going to notice that right away. So we also feel it, right? But if it's faster finality, it's not something that you feel every single day, right? So that's
a good point. We're shipping upgrades all the time, but it's infrastructure, and inherently, like you're saying, it's invisible.
You don't feel it, which is
good point.
As it should be, Infrastructure, it works until it doesn't. So that's part number one. And then I think also to what Lane has said is really the consensus mechanism or the social layer. And even within, let's just say like AI, there's the middle ground there, which is like the open source community there, right? And so even there's 6 months behind, or maybe even closing the gap now, but still 6 months behind. And what is that a function of? It's
2 years, apparently, 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
Igor says 2 years.
24 months, guys.
Yeah, 4 months. This panel's going to accelerate it to 4 months, right after that.
Okay, for the main reason is because of security. In Web 2, we don't do security. We don't care about it, okay? So in Web 3, the main focus of Web 3 for us is security. So we have to wait more time to have a product working, okay? But I think the Web 3 team that do AI should use more AI, more the tools of AI to be faster, maybe to release something. Because we are a space that is smaller than Web 2. We are a family. We know each other. I think I know everybody in the space in last 2 years of events. So I think we should do more collaborations. If we see that a team is very fast, maybe try to understand, from in collaboration way, how to extend our capabilities. Okay, instead of be, microcosm, okay, separated. But again, 24 months, guys. I want to close this gap tomorrow.
I definitely want to speak to the pace of iteration that AI has been enabling. It definitely feels like we're able to move 10 times as fast now, especially as developers, engineers building these products. So it definitely feels like a different paradigm when you're building on these kinds of products. And I do think it's important to have security built into these systems and to be able to verify the data that you're exposing through your app or whatever it is. So I think the data that powers these agentic programs, these systems, is really the underpinning factor. If you can nail down the accuracy of the data that you're powering or that's using, and being able to expose that to the user, I think is probably one of the most important factors right now in the space. So, yeah.
I just want to add, we recognize, we're doing some pretty cutting edge, both research and product work, AI research and product work at Near, and we recognize that the pace of development in the, if you want to call it Web2 or kind of like off-chain, non-crypto AI world is just rapidly accelerating, we feel that we're not keeping up, right? And we're doing things in response to that. So one thing we're doing is we're actually setting up, this is a very non-crypto thing to do. We're setting up an AI research laboratory in San Francisco and getting the entire Near AI team in the same city.
That's the way.
We're actually doing it the old-fashioned way because that's the only way we can keep up.
Everybody should be in the same room.
Exactly, that's the plan. We recognize we have to do that.
We have to go back to this use, no remote people, everybody in the same room, everybody with the same goal. That's why I say we should collaborate more.
Yeah, that's very controversial in crypto, but I do think it's the right step.
We can be decentralized, but in the same room, okay? It's good, no? Okay, so next question is about decentralization. So we are the decentralization kids. We grow up this way. And then we have this new game that is AI, that somehow in the last 3 years show us total centralization of the intelligence. So we have the biggest player are centralized. So when I like to have the centralized tools, but I use Claude. Okay, so at the end of the day, I use Claude 4.5, no? Okay, so next question is about this. What do you think is going to be the best way for us to dominate the decentralization of the intelligence? Okay, there are multiple ways. For example, in my company, we are exploring on-device, total on-device intelligence. Now we have GPUs on the phone, GPUs on the pads, so it's not difficult. The LLM, very small, are quite nice, especially the last one released by Apple, super fast, and it's possible to be private, okay? So, from one side, I want the blockchain to store the data I need to be in the blockchain, my transaction, my trading, my communication, and from the other side, I want to keep my private data really private. So, yeah, okay? So what you think is the best way to do this, and what you think is going to happen in the next 5 years. So, the next 5 years is going to be critical for crypto, for the stablecoin ecosystem, and for AI. So I want to know your vision in the next 5 years. Starting from Lamina.
Start from me again. So privacy in AI models is inherently difficult, especially when you're dealing with remote systems. I know there's been quite a bit of research on, complete multi-party computation and, ways to obfuscate data while still running inference on it. I think that's difficult and a long time coming. And when it does come, it's going to, as Web3 is 2 years behind Web2, the capabilities of that system will still be behind the more popular models today. And I think by nature of this industry, people are going to choose the more performant models over preserving privacy for the most part for most products and applications. So I think there is a challenge there. With regards to on-device versus remote, I do think on-device is an interesting way to preserve the privacy of data for limited use cases, but again, your phone is only capable of running an inference model of a certain size, right? And so again, you're sort of giving this trade-off between performance and capability and privacy and protection of your data. And unfortunately, I was trained by a famous cryptographer, and so my entire early career was driven by this notion of keep your build technology that protects your data, and unfortunately, we learned the hard way that the majority of society doesn't share that fear or that concern, and they'll choose the platforms, the Metas, the WhatsApps, the TikToks that will abuse and manipulate your data because it's convenient, it's free, and it's where everyone is. So yes, I think there are some interesting use cases. Specifically, when we're talking about smaller tools, like let's say for onboarding. When we talk about, this has been a big problem in Web3 for a long time, like how do we onboard mainstream audiences into a platform that's powered by blockchain I want to do something simple like purchase an NFT. Now I have to go to MetaMask, and it's asking me, am I really sure I want to execute this transaction? And we've all taught ourselves how to read those transaction histories, but I think there's a good sort of framework that we can use locally for basically being the translation layer between technical data and something that a mainstream audience is able to parse and use and interact with, sort of intent-based computation. Though I do think, in the last thing, and then I'll hand it over, I do think we're still playing a little bit with fire with these models, even when they're local, because for the most part, they're still opaque black boxes, unless
they are indeed black boxes. I asked GPT-5 to give me a Claude API key, give it to me, and it worked.
Yeah, so I think we need more transparent models as well. So I think the open source models need to come farther. We need to invest more heavily in them, even maybe as a Web3 society. Because without these transparent models, without knowing the data they've been trained on, the weights that they have, I think you're just replacing the old tenets of centralization with a new black box. And I think that's dangerous.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Near is working on all of this, every piece of this, right? So from the open model training, kind of verifiable model training, with cryptographic proofs, to the sovereignty over the AI stack, owning the entire pipeline, owning the inference, to doing things on-prem, on-device, with proofs of verifiability. A lot of this stuff is live already, actually. If you go to chat.near.ai, we have a proof of concept verifiable chat, like ChatGPT kind of style tool that you can use and you can interact with, and it actually gives you cryptographic proofs that can be attested to from NVIDIA and other kind of trusted providers using TEEs that the inference process, the whole pipeline is kind of secure and verifiable. I think what I would add to what you said is that we were very naive about this a year or two ago. We really thought that people would start caring about things like privacy, verifiability, confidentiality in AI. And actually, I agree very strongly with what Will said. The reality is it's become clear that most people don't and probably are not going to wake up to that tomorrow, right? But
if you remember, when DeepSeek came out, all United States was scared about data going to China, okay? And I was the first time in 3 years where I saw somebody scared about the data.
Yeah.
Till yesterday, no care. Put everything, your address, your phone number, everything there, and okay, put me. This is insane. And then faded. Now nobody cares anymore because DeepSeek costs less. So now they don't care anymore where the data go. You go to China, you don't care, okay, because it costs less. So the convenience that is our worst problem in society, is always going to win against something that is more difficult. But we should work together to remove the friction that make the convenience more convenient.
I agree. Just to close the thought, we naively thought that AI was kind of monolithic in the sense that there's kind of one category of user that care about privacy. I don't think they do. I agree with you. We need to remove friction and make things private by default. But the approach we're taking right now is very different, right? We're doing market segmentation. We realize that there are segments of the market, actually quite large segments, that really, really care about this stuff. So to give you some examples, healthcare. Healthcare companies really care. Law, exactly. Media, it turns out, cares a lot because they're worried that the content they're producing is going to be used to train other models and other people will get access to their content. Finance is another obvious one, right? And then the most obvious one of all, like sovereign states, right? So to your point about DeepSeek, sovereign states are trying to build platforms, citizen services, things like this based on AI. And no, they're not going to build it on open models or on something from Anthropic or OpenAI or something like this because they don't know how the model was trained and there's kind of a security risk for them there. So these segments care deeply about these tools and I believe this is $1 trillion market with a T. So that's kind of what we're focused on. That's what we're going after at Near.
What I'd add to that, beyond the privacy angle and just really, again, the differentiation that crypto does have to offer is I'll just say like markets plainly. And so there are a lot of different places where, let's just say the current generation of models like still can't get the job done. We all have experienced this. We ping chat, GPT, the same question, just can't get it right. And so in those places, I think that's where
still cannot get them right.
Right.
It's like counting the R's in strawberry, right?
Exactly.
Strawberries.
When you're typing in full caps to ChatGPT.
Count numbers, no, cannot.
But and then the second part of that is okay. So what's the great user experience around what we can offer? And I feel like this is a lot of what Aaron has been working on as well, and I think maybe we've all been experimenting with is multi-agent systems. And so how are they going to be making decisions? But it definitely offers. Even within like the big chat like model providers, like there's one runaway winner, right? So clearly they're also looking for use cases, but. Yeah.
I want to ask you something about this. So about multi-agent systems, so I can connect also with my friend Aaron. How you solve the trust of the end of to the multi-agent system? So every company that is now adopting AI for real is working on workflows because the company is a workflow. Okay, so the best way to represent an enterprise in AI is to literally reconstruct completely the enterprise in the same way it works. And workflow is the best way to have the assurance of quality. Okay, every team for trading agent, for coding agent that approach the multi-agent system instead of the context engineering, so the workflow part, somehow failed because in Web 2 there's no trust, there is not this kind of stuff. So how you solve the trust part? Because you have an agent that end off work to other agents. It's not you. It's an entity that can be wrong at least 5% of the time if you're very good, okay? And end off this operation to other sub-agents that also can be wrong at least 5% of the time. So this thing, this end off, need to be covered by something. And the user need to know it happened, it did not happen, it happened exactly as I want, because in a company it's like this, freedom, okay? So how we can solve this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's really imperative for companies that are building AI products to provide transparency into the data that its agents or tools are using. So like at Flipside AI, for example, we show every single query that is being run against our data. So you get the final result, you have multi-agents that are doing things in parallel. You can dive in and see exactly what query was run, what tables it was pulling data from, and you can actually run that query yourself in Snowflake or some other query database. And I think that kind of granularity into the data is probably going to be paramount. And if you can provide that kind of transparency into the data, I think people will be more inclined to use your product. And to touch on the question of where do you see things going in the next couple of years, I definitely think that people are relying on single model providers a little too much. And I think spreading out your model usage maybe across different providers, especially some of the open source, is definitely a good idea. Also, there are plenty of cool companies like Venice AI who are doing really cool things with like
friends of us. Very good company.
Yeah, so none of your data is stored on products like that, and they're using open source models. So in the next 5 years, I hope to see a lot more entities like that coming out of the woodwork and competing with the incumbents, because I don't know about you guys, if you rely on, say, Anthropic a little too much or OpenAI, you'll notice things break often. And
I just don't use them anymore. I don't use OpenAI anymore.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
So, but what about you, Will? So, how you company consider trust in this agent? You trust them?
Yeah,
I somehow trust them. Sometimes.
We changed the. I mean, to Dylan and Lane's point earlier, I think we primarily operate as a platform at the social layer, so at the human layer. And at that layer, trust is different in a lot of ways. And so specifically as a content distribution and a community engagement platform, we use AI to basically make content more engaging, to make communities more engaging. So when it comes to governance of an IP or what we call a space, we use AI to organize thoughts and opinions and data and present it to the users so that they can make informed decisions. And so it's a little bit of a different trust model than, say, an automatic trading agent or something, where you're putting a lot of monetary value at risk based on your trust of this model. But yeah, so I think that's primarily how we're mitigating that risk, is we're staying more towards leveraging AI as a tool to enhance an experience rather than replace a specific role in our system or platform. So how can we make governance better? How can we make content remixing
So
better?
empowering the human, not
Exactly,
okay.
rather than replacing
not replace the human anymore.
Yeah.
Good, very good. That's our point. We want to give more power to our developers, to our team, the creators, not want to have just slop that come from the AI. Good.
Yeah, you have to keep the human in the loop, and I think that's going to be important, not only from a trust, even if we get these models 100% perfect, the human should remain in the loop, because that's where product comes, that's where, but it's also where we as a society find meaning and interest. I don't want a model to do my job for me and to do everything in my life for
Well,
me.
if I can go to the beach a pair of hours more in the day, it will be cool for me, okay? What about Nir, about trust? Trust is very important.
Trust is central to everything we do. Trust is literally the reason we're here, right? The founding belief of Bitcoin and the cypherpunk school is basically don't trust but verify. I don't trust it if I can't kind of run the code myself, audit the code myself, verify it myself. And I would even go further and I would say this is the key feature, the key thing that we can offer that the Anthropics, the OpenAIs, the Googles, the Microsofts can't offer, right, is trusted AI. And I spoke a little bit a few minutes ago about kind of how we're thinking about it at Nir. I would say there's many different answers, actually, technological answers, right? So there's ZK proofs, very obviously, right? You don't have to trust what the model tells you, what the inference tells you, you can verify it yourself. There is FHE, fully homomorphic encryption, right? There's TEEs, and there's actually a few others as well. Right now, there's trade-offs here, right? So FHE is super powerful, but it's very, very slow today. Zero knowledge proofs.
Everything of our technology is very, very slow.
Yeah, but TEEs, trusted execution environments,
on GPU,
otherwise known as a secure enclave, right? This is a technology that has existed here for almost 10 years, right? So when you scan your face or do your thumbprint to unlock your phone, the verification of your biometrics is happening inside the secure enclave on your phone. Why? So that it can't leak. You can't have another application running on the phone that steals your identity and then uses it later, right? But it was just added to GPUs last year, the Blackwell, the most recent release of the GPU. So now we can do verifiable model training inference stuff I'm talking about. And the key thing I want to say about TEEs, we've done benchmarks of this, the performance penalty is about 10%. Okay, so it's about 10% slower than running things natively outside the TEE. That's awesome, right?
Well,
so it works in production today.
Actually, we can decide what go to TE and what not. There are some tasks we don't care about, literally. Right. And so we can solve that bottleneck. We're going to become 2%.
So the only other thing I want to add is that TEEs are not perfect. They have certain attack vectors, and this is anyone who knows anything about cryptography is aware of these. So they need to be one solution. There need to be others. We should also be embracing FHEs, ZK proofs, et cetera. But TEEs are good enough for most use cases right now.
It's the only technology where NVIDIA is playing a role. Yeah. Because I know because one of the team that is producing the TEE version of GPU is the only one in cohort from Web3, and we are very interested in this. It's cool that we can route, so we can decide what go to TEE. There's some stuff is not important. No, decide if the email is important or we go to the trash is not something they're going to go to TE. Yeah. The Web3 community, they have to understand that we cannot put everything on the blockchain. Okay, so there are teams that put the full stream of tokens in the blockchain. how big is going to be this blockchain, guys? Because last time I tested, my streams is 7 to 23 million token per day. So it's too much stuff, too much operation, too much compute that you cannot justify. There's no justification. But the process, yes, it need to be verified, okay? Is from one side, in AIFlow, we are starting to create a system of benchmarking that don't exist. We have for the LLM, we don't have for the agent. And we are working on this. We are working in the pre-verifiable part. So I'll give you an example. We have an agent that drive a drone. The drone crash and hit a person. The verifiable agent project protocol gonna write on the blockchain that the agent crashed the drone on the guy. If you add instead a benchmark system, they give you a baseline. So you say, you know, between here and here, the agent is good. Between here and here, the agent is bad. When it's going bad, you park the drone. You don't go anywhere, okay? So we are building these things, and it will be pretty interesting to understand, because in my opinion, is the next gold rush, because we had this when we had the smart contracts. When we start to audit smart contract, because we discovered that it was hacked. In the same way, we need to audit robots, agents, because agent can do healthcare. So we want to avoid the agent to do mistakes, okay? So the last 6 minutes we have, I want us to go open, okay? Open. So the UX changed completely. It's a chat. We have to agree on this, okay? So the next big wave of customer that DeFi gonna have is coming from ChatGPT, where they have the information in a fraction of a second. They don't have to look around your website, find the best yield, okay? So how you think we're gonna have to change our way to operate, to enter completely this new UX? Because we already operate on the phone, all of us. But how you think we're gonna have to change everything? We start with Aaron here.
Yeah, it's a good point. I definitely think people are getting trained to get answers instantly, and I almost think there's less of an incentive that the answer is right. And I think that is the fundamental shift that needs to happen, is like the speed of response, but also the accuracy of the response. So yeah, I definitely think we're gonna have to, again, bake in this verifiability and the transparentness of data that is coming in, while also maintaining this high performance kind of system. So,
but it's also an education thing, right? Like, you need to understand, at least at a high level, what an LLM is. Like, what is an LLM? What is it doing? What is it good at? What is it not good at? Why do hallucinations happen? Mm-hmm. And they've gotten better. They've gotten much better, but it does still happen. I think people need to understand, yes, you're going to get an instant answer, but it might be wrong for a variety of reasons. You still need to double check. Yeah. And I like to use as a comparison here, like Wikipedia, right? Wikipedia came out 20 years ago, and you know, in the beginning, people would look at it and say, oh, this is an encyclopedia. An encyclopedia presents facts. And then they realized it took us a long time as a society to kind of digest the fact that actually it's crowdsourced. Yep. And there's a lot of inaccuracies in Wikipedia, a lot. So like, if you're relying on it for something important, like a research paper or a law case, you have to verify.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
I think actually it comes down to taste. And actually, I think this was something that we talked about actually the last panel also, is you kind of learn by doing, right? If we've all managed people before, and so you can't always trust the output there, and so that's the way you learn trust or taste. But it's the same thing, that Lane brought up, where when we were first, getting used to search engines, you don't always trust the first link, and certainly not within crypto. You can't. It's
on the internet. It must be true. You remember that line?
yeah. And so it's the same patterns repeated, but everyone eventually develops this taste, and so, but certainly with your parents and your loved ones, if they do send some new, what's the new app that Meta released? I guess everyone's doing like the new AI generated videos, which is kind of crazy. I don't know. That's a whole other conversation there.
Yeah, but they don't have it. But there's no taste.
no,
'cause
they
there's no
just-
human creator.
There's no.
They
there's
just
no
came
taste
out with the glasses and they had a very bad demo for 2 minutes.
Oh, that was
It
crazy.
was fantastic. Okay, that was real. No, it was like the first ChatGPT. Was showing that we need to work a lot on this, and that is going to be next step. So now the step is mobile application with a chat, or even a standalone application, web application with a chat. Because without the chat, this person is lost. So he's not a kid anymore. That 15 is gonna check around. Okay, guy have money and want to make money, and that's it. He doesn't care. And if you want to keep the interest of this crowd, you need to give him something that is used to. So, in my opinion, everybody should start to integrate at least the chatbot, at least. Okay. We talk about how many projects do we have in DeFi today? 10,000?
in crypto in the
In
industry. or-
DeFi.
Oh, in DeFi. I mean, I was just at Token 2049. There's about 10,000 projects there
10,000
alone.
projects.
So it's insane. It's just goes. It's endless.
7% started to do some AI. So imagine how much work we have still to do to accommodate these people. It's not that we have to change the way we do stuff. We don't have to integrate in our ecosystem the AI, but we need to have this.
Yeah, and you touched on the mobile piece. I actually think that's pretty crucial. Especially in like emerging markets, a lot of people don't have access to computers specifically. Like at Flipside AI, we're seeing a lot of interest in Nigeria and countries in Africa using these products. And I think that is the audience we should be kind of targeting because I think they stand to benefit the most from AI.
And crypto has historically been really bad at mobile. Like even today, try using DeFi on a phone. I think this by itself goes a long way towards explaining why adoption's been such an issue. We just expect everyone's going to be on laptops and desktops all the time. That's us. That's not most of the world.
Agree.
What do you think, Will? What do you think about this? Come on, tell us.
I totally agree. I mean, to everything that was just said, mobile first has always been like a Web2 mantra, at least for the past decade at least, and it's something the Web3 space has struggled with. It's something AI currently struggles with.
Connect wallet don't work.
Yeah, that too.
I cannot buy anything. I have to get the laptop.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we have a long way to go to make these tools easier to use, to get them integrated onto the devices we're most comfortable using, especially the younger generation, who's going to be probably the most have the most acceleration in terms of adoption and usage. So yeah, I agree. I think mobile is a good priority. Yeah.
Okay, guys. So this is the end of our panel for 45 minutes of love for AI. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.